everything I own is GM. But today, I'm changing out the carburetor on my boss's 68 Ford Highboy. It has a Holley on it right now, and it is wore out. It's dumping gas everywhere, it needs rebuilt. And rather than having it rebuilt, he's just gonna put an Edelbrock on it and drive it that way. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna get this Holley off, I'm gonna get this Edelbrock 1405 stuck on it. I think the only issue I'm seeing so far is that it's 5/16 line coming off of the pump here. I know that Edelbrock is going to have a 3/8 line, so I might have to go get some fittings, change that up just a little bit. That's all of it. Mounting flange is pretty clean. So I'll get the other carburetor ready to go. There's a carburetor that come off of it. You can see it was leaking around the throttle shafts. The back bowl's leaking. It's leaking around the rear accelerator pump. It's just leaking everywhere. Running gas all over the top of the engine, and running gas is dumping gas down the engine. And rather than getting it rebuilt, he's just going to go ahead and stick this Edelbrock on there for now. Good old 1405 manual choke 600. I've ran these in the past. They're pretty simple. Ought to be a good carburetor. Ought to run pretty good on this pickup, especially for what he's wanting to do with it. It ought to work pretty good. So before I install this new carburetor, I'm going to pull it apart and I'm going to check the float height and make sure everything is good, because sometimes right out of the box they're good, sometimes right out of the box they're not good. So I'm going to take the top off, check it out. Here's your tech tip for the day. The Edelbrock float spec is 15/16 down and 7/16 up. A big lighter is 15/16 wide and about a 1/2 inch thick. So if you don't have any measuring tools with you, you can use a lighter to set the floats on an Edelbrock. Floats look good now. They were a little bit off, just needed a little bit of adjustment. Probably wasn't going to cause any issues, but you never know right out of the box. Better to be safe than sorry. So let's get that carburetor on the pickup. Well, I think I got everything where I need it. Double check everything, make sure it all feels tight. Tight there, tight there, tight there. Before I started up, I moved that spring. I didn't like where it was at. Under wide open throttle, it was getting caught on the idle adjustment. So, let's fire it up and see what happens. Come on, old Ford. Look at that. Right out of the box. Is it gonna idle? It's even idling. What I didn't show, I D'd up the, what they call D'ing up your throttle blades. You take your throttle blades and you open up your transition slot or your idle circuit. That one's way open. You don't want to close that, and you want that little slot right there. This little slot right here to be about as tall as it is wide. That's called D'ing up your transition slot. Before we get carried away, let's make sure we ain't leaking anywhere. feels good. Good place to start with these all the way in, then turn and a half, turn and a quarter out. We'll go 1.5. We'll put a vacuum gauge on it, dial it in after it warms up. Might have to move that accelerator pump and do a different hole. Holy crap. Whole truck sounds pretty good. Edelbrocks, right out of the box. A little float adjustment. Heat up the transition slot, and look at that. Let me know in the comments whether you've ever had that kind of luck with a Holley. I haven't. Never had that kind of luck with a Holley. Now we're starting to get some temperature on the gauge. We'll let it warm up and adjust it. Well, there it is. I got old Ruth pulled outside. The idle's nice and smooth. Sounds pretty good. We'll take it back up to the end of the driveway here. Make sure it ain't got no weird spots. Idling about 950, runs about 200 degrees. Yeah, let's take it up the driveway. If I can find third gear in this thing. Something about these Ford transmissions, third gear is just tight compared to a Chevy SM465. There it is. Sounds good. Plug it down. Sounds real good. Off all right. Going up the hill. Oh yeah. It's got an electronic power steering on this truck. Pretty sure it's electric power steering. And it is slick. Perfect. I'll go ahead and park it up. Pack up all the tools and call it a day.